What's going on, social
Hello.
media? So we're on episode 84 of Bottoms Up Perspective, and I got my
Yeah.
co-hosts Eldrick and Jeremy C. And we'll continue to talk about SME and marketing. But today we got a special guest, Xiao, and she's from here in Chicago, but she used to be in Kansas City. She also ran a digital marketing agency here in KC as well. It's called Westerlund Co. So I'm excited to have her because her and I probably experience similar challenges when it comes to marketing. Because in the world of marketing, there's so much misconceptions. Because people think marketing today, especially in the digital world, is the be all. So I'm gonna bring her up.
Hey,
Hi, Xiao.
good evening and good morning.
Morning.
On the other side of the
Hello.
world.
Not
Yep.
that far. Not that far.
Not that far.
Yeah.
You want to tell a little bit about yourself, Xiao?
Yeah, feel free to
Introduce yourself to the
introduce
audience.
yourself.
So I'm originally from Shanghai. I stayed in Kansas City for about 7 years. Ran my little agency called the Westerlund Co. We do full stack digital marketing with a heavy focus on content and storytelling. Then my real job, as I always say, is an artist, which is why this year, kind of on a whim, I just kind of, you know what, I'm gonna move to Chicago because it's more vibrant for art and it's also a lot more exciting when it comes to digital marketing. So I just moved.
Cool.
Is it more vibrant for art?
Yeah.
When I was
Chicago.
there for Chicago Marathon, I didn't see anything apart from runners running. I didn't see any art or. I'm sorry.
The marathon was too cold this year, if you ask me.
All right, guys, you guys keep talking. So we're as part of streaming, right? You always run into surprise technical issues. For some reason,
What's happening
LinkedIn
now?
is having an issue. So I'm gonna remove the LinkedIn feed, and people are saying they can't get on. So I'm gonna try to add it back. So you guys just keep talking about Chicago, Singapore.
Shanghai. Shanghai.
Shanghai.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna work
Do
on
you
this
still
real quick.
speak Chinese?
Yeah, I speak Chinese
Shanghainese.
and Shanghainese. I grew up
Yeah.
in China. I only came here to the States when I was like 20. So
I actually stayed in Shanghai for 7 years, but I could not
you
understand
couldn't speak the
Shanghainese. I can't
dialect.
speak. But I did pick up Cantonese instead in China because of my colleagues from Hong Kong and my
That
boss
is
and
so
all that.
funny.
So yes, exactly. Yeah, in Shanghai, didn't learn Shanghainese but learned Cantonese. Yeah.
Can you understand Shanghainese or not at all?
When I get scolded, I understand.
And
The first thing you learn.
Audric, where are you based? Because I see you shake your head too.
No, I'm based in Singapore.
Okay.
I've done work in Shanghai before.
Okay.
So the Shanghainese thing didn't bother me that much, but the speed of which the words just fly past my face is the when people speak very quickly, they still take pauses, so you can have a very long sentence with multiple commas.
Mm-hmm.
But Chinese, like, all the words are
No, Shanghainese will just like a water tap you turn on and it'll keep.
as one of my colleagues used to tell me, an ex-colleague, 掺吧在一起，粘在一起，粘啊粘，
Yeah, sticky.
所有的字都粘在一起。
All the words are stick together.
So it's one cluster. That was like, I'm sorry, I know you're frustrated, but I don't understand what you're trying to tell me. So maybe you want to just and when I do that, they get even more annoyed. And I
I
was
got
like,
so mad.
send me an email. It's okay. Send me an email. I read for myself.
And the email is one chunk of text because they stick together.
Oh my God,
One
I've
paragraph
definitely got
is one
those
sentence.
From Asian clients in general. I've got a block email is what I call it.
A block email.
And some of these email
blob.
senders, they'll turn off the auto line thing, so you'll get a long string across.
Well, at least you know that they are native Asians or Chinese, right? I mean, put it that way. So I do have experiences working in Shanghai.
Yeah.
So I understand the sense of nose up. I've seen that before, like literally, like I'm like but it was not directed towards me, it's directed towards people from Beijing, and they're like, the people from the northern village. I'm like,
North and the south, yeah,
northern
yeah.
northern village. where are you referring to? Yeah. So I was like, oh, that's kind of transparent. But that was in the when was
Early
that?
2000s.
Early 2010s.
Okay.
Early 2010s.
Okay.
And then it's how do I describe this sentiment? It's like we are on top of the rest of the. So I'm not gonna comment on that, but you can sense the the way ancient Chinese talk. It's either I respect my peers, I respect on top, or when I talk down at you. When you say 敬语 and then you're below me, right? I don't have to say 敬语, you have to say it to me.
Yeah.
Whoa, I felt like I was back in the, when I read 论语, that kind of things, like, it's, and he talk down to the people. Like there was one encounter, we came together, it's like a little UN, Asian UN.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and then there was a Taiwanese in the group. I was like,
Ooh.
after a while, it was so
Wow.
painful. I spoke to him. I was like, if I'm you, I wouldn't have come. I would have gone home. No, we are all colleagues in the same company.
Yeah.
We flew into Shanghai because we wanted to get a deal, but we had the expertise.
Yeah.
And we are spread all over. And it was there that I realized that the Shanghainese worldview. But that was then.
Yeah.
So it's like how they see the northern villagers and the islanders and the people who's in the south. I'm like, wow.
We're from the south. Singapore
Yeah,
is way down south.
Hey, this one from the south, like the skin is so dark. It's like, is this
Oh my
discrimination? No, right? It's just a. So
Like,
after
some
that
people
5
will
weeks,
say, I swear.
after that 5 days, I just had to take a break for like 1 week or so. I was like, okay, I need to.
Hey, 7 years,
stay on.
yeah. 7
Yeah,
years,
I know,
7
I
years
know.
in Shanghai.
7.
7 is a long time.
Oh yeah.
and two years before that was in the northern village, Beijing, yeah.
Okay.
So go
Is
imagine.
that saying still very common? Like
I don't think so now. I don't think so now. But put it this way, yeah. Now, no offense, Xiao, but I think Shanghainese are very proud and do consider themselves the elite of China. So yeah.
Yes. Oh no, even within the Shanghai circle, like Kansas City actually has a Shanghainese networking group. If you guys don't know.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I'm on their WeChat group for a while, and I have to even turn it off, mute it to take breaks. And I was like, you guys are horrible. I just can't sit there and watch that chat history.
Man.
Kevin, we're back on.
I'm back
go
on,
back to
so we're good. We're
All right.
good on LinkedIn. So
All right, let me do some sharing. We go back to the
shot all the
proper
links
topic.
out to the right places, so it should be all good. So
Yeah,
we're live.
yep, it's here. It's
Yep.
here. I'm gonna
So
share.
let's talk a little about marketing, and when it comes to marketing misconceptions, tell us about your experience, Xiao, when you were in the early stages of getting your digital agency up and going. I know you came to my agency and we met up, and love to hear about your journey, and what are some of the top 3 misconceptions, and I want to hear from you, and then us 3 will kind of dive in.
I think that especially when you first start, you're talking with a lot of smaller businesses who are already frustrated and who probably had bad experience previously. You cannot blame them. But the biggest misconception is at least 80% of the prospects I spoke with back then would have the attitude of, we know enough to make you feel intimidated. We know enough to be dangerous to you. Trust me, if you're not a marketing professional, you definitely do not know enough to make any of us here on this live channel to feel dangerous. And that mindset is the biggest misconception, because they're coming to you with an argumentative attitude, like what you say is wrong, what I have read on the internet is correct, which, well, we know how that goes, right?
Yeah,
And
that's because your clients were from Shanghai.
no, that's sorry, guys. That's
the group.
Just kidding.
That's the only Westerners, man. And
Just
I
need
think
a clarification.
the second misconception is definitely, we know how easily people go viral on social media nowadays, which created the misconception of, oh, it's gonna be quick, especially with social media marketing. The first thing people think about is, I'm gonna start posting and we're gonna start getting sales through it. I'm like, okay, first of all, that shouldn't even be your goal. That's like, if that's what you want, you should hire a salesperson.
You save more money.
Exactly. Like,
Hire
we're
Eldrick
here.
I have a different way of thinking of social media marketing these days, but please carry on first. I'll articulate later.
No, and personally, I get plenty of leads off my social media. I just don't approach it with that, oh, I'm gonna post, I'm gonna get people in. And I think the third biggest misconception is marketing it can have short-term effect, but overall, it is a long-term investment. So if someone is going to do a short blast campaign, that is going to work. But on a strategic level, if you only invest on your marketing 3 out of 12 months of the year and you expect it to take off, that's probably not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's my top 3.
That's really
I'll
good.
go next, right? I'll go next, right?
Go ahead, Jeremy.
Well, now we go dive in, right? So on those 3, from our guests tonight.
Let's
go.
So
let's dive in. Number 1, right? When the client approaches, and this can be a client when it comes to an SME, small business owner, but it can also be the executives, right? If you're working at a corporate level, it can be your bosses. Because I remember when I was a marketing director, I experienced a lot of pushback and misunderstanding in the C level because they think they know marketing, but these dudes are sitting around, they're 50, 60-year-olds, 65-year-olds, and some of them don't even know how to work their mobile phone, and they're telling me, hey, this is how social media is supposed to look, and the last time they log into anything was maybe MySpace, right?
At least they didn't tell you to keep sending out postcards and stuffed envelopes.
Yeah. So this is real. The misconception, a lot of business owners, executive levels, everything on the internet is real, right? Yep. So they watch stuff, they read stuff, and they read, Gary V, whoever, Neil Patel, and they take it as like these are factual. Yep. And they forget, like, the marketing journey looks different for every person and every corporation. Exactly. And people who do marketing, they understand. The way we market Eldrick's going to be different than marketing Jeremy. Because they both have different attributes. They both have different strength, different values, right? Things they care about. So when you look into an organization, it's the same thing. Yeah. My digital agency is very different probably than Westerlund because her and I probably have maybe similar values, but there are things that are different. And we're different people. Yep. So the biggest misconception, I think, is we read things off the internet of someone that's successful. We don't know if they're successful or not.
Especially with today's social media and what's put front as a presentation. There's no way you can tell.
Yeah. And a lot of times these people are also selling their service, product, or brand. Yep. And then these people buy it as, hey, this is the truth. Therefore, I want to do social media exactly like he or her or run digital marketing the same way. And it leads you into a rabbit hole where you're just throwing away money. Exactly. So that's, that's my take. I'll pass it to Jeremy because I know he was getting ready to talk. Yep.
Yeah, I think what Xiao essentially mentioned is, what I think is the 3 biggest misconception where digital marketing is concerned, okay? Well, social is part of it, so digital marketing. So I always tell people, I think the biggest misconception people think of digital marketing, it is number 1, cheap, number 2, fast, and number 3, easy, right? That's kind of like what you mentioned, right, Xiao? People tell you I'm dangerous, I know, so it's easy.
Right on point.
And it's very fast, because we go viral tomorrow and boom, we get lots of sales, and cheap, Funny you mentioned the word investment. Yeah, funny you mentioned the word investment.
Just swipe left. These are the immature ones. I'm not interested. Disconnect.
So-
disconnect, right? Disconnect. Yeah. That's it.
Investment is the key word. Investment is the key word.
Yeah.
Probably one of the other biggest misconception about marketing as a whole is that marketing is an expense. People see it as people meaning corporations, businesses, see it as a necessary
Jeremy, before you
evil.
continue, do
Yeah.
you want to just qualify your role and what you do before you say this? Because I think so that people can understand the context.
So that I'm in an expert position. I don't want to do that because in case I say something stupid and people
Say your role. Just say your role.
I
Then,
devalue
then
it.
his boss
Nah.
fire him.
Yeah, just say your role. Your role is enough.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that, Aldrich. I've been in marketing role my entire career as pure marketing role. You call that sometimes Marcom generalist marketing. My background education wise is Marcom, and I did a little bit of retail. It was my first job, 3 months, and then I had about 8 months experience in advertising agency as an account executive. And after that, I left and then became, what agencies call a client side. Joined an MNC and did marketing from the ground up. So I hope I do think I know what I'm saying in terms of marketing and misconceptions because I've been guilty of that as well. And so that's kind of like relating my position, what I do day to day to back up what I
And
just
just
said.
really fast too, I think is unique, right, with Jeremy. Just like he shared earlier, he was also in China, Beijing, and Shanghai, and now he works for a company that's in the U.S. Right, so
That based in
it
US,
gives
correct.
him a wide variety because there's a lot of marketers out there, right? But there's a lot of U.S. centric marketers,
Yep.
and you got to remember every culture is different. And
Exactly.
when it comes to the East and the West, the way you market yourself is different. So with Jeremy, he does have some unique experiences that he can give some insight into what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. So back to what I was saying. No, it's not fast. No, it's not easy, and no, it's not cheap. I just want to touch on the cheap part because people think that if they have a budget for, say, digital marketing, and the amount may be huge for them, and they think that it will work magic, like it will bring like many folds of what is invested. Just because they are on the first time they dump in an investment to do digital marketing, they think that they're going to make many folds back. Doesn't happen if you have never been doing it. In fact, it's a long-term game. Yeah, it's a long. It's like you've been doing. It's like in the past when before there was digital advertising, the digital marketing, everyone was doing advertising on radio and TV and all these brands that you know. Say for example, right, Coca-Cola.
Yep.
They have been on TV before internet was born and all that. They've been advertising their brand. That's long term.
Exactly.
That's long term. That if you have not been doing that and suddenly you have this amount of money and you decide to pump it into digital marketing and you think that it's going to bring you profits many times over, not going to happen. It does not happen that way. Yeah. I'll leave it at that and see if Audrey has anything to add.
Quite a bit of things that I can comment on.
Go ahead. Yes.
Whatever that all of you have mentioned, I personally experienced that. So to be honest, I'm a very practitioner kind of a person. I don't like to just listen. I listen and I think how I can incorporate, then I do, and I see if the results come to me. I think through my writings on Medium and my posts on Twitter and LinkedIn, I think it reflected that. So all these points that you mentioned, I do have my perspective and as a result of what I do. Marketing as a cost center, marketing as an expense. Truth be told, if you are in a corporation or you are the marketer in a startup kind of environment, you're gonna get it every day. Now, as part of my day job, I also meet scores of let's say event partners. Physical event partners, digital event partners, people coming in. Oh, we want to collaborate. We can have some brand liaison work going on. So that we can tag a logo to a logo. And my very first question is, so what? I don't discount what you say, but I'm way beyond it already. I'm like, if you cannot tell me the second and third level of details in terms of our collaboration and what is likely to come, I'm bored. I mean, like, you can say all you want about, we can have collaboration. You can say all you want about, this is an investment.
But you need to understand
if you
what
want
return.
to use the word investment, I want to know what are my returns, regardless of the time frame.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because in an investment, there's only two things. One, what is my absolute returns in terms of dollars? And second, what's the velocity of me recouping my initial capital outlay? Velocity. So let's say the very simple metric would be payout, payoff. So you measure payoff by a number of years. So let's say the payoff is 5 years. Okay, what that means is it takes 5 years for me to recoup my initial capital outlay,
Investment.
and then the rest would be pure earnings. Okay, so that's one way of looking at it. If the person that's in front of me cannot explain that while throwing the word investment out, he lost me completely. I'm like, it's a traditional pitch, but you do not have the details and the practicality to carry it out.
So Eldrick, it's better if they're selling you on marketing to say, instead of investment, marketing is like cryptocurrency.
No, I won't say it that way. It's just that
it's like Dogecoin.
No, there's always a place, a time, and a purpose for marketing. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, hey, we don't need this. What I'm trying to say is that when we come together to do business, whether it's freelancer to freelancer, whether it's a startup to startup, or whether it's business to business, we have to be very clear of what we are trying to achieve and what that objective is. So don't just say things because it sounds right.
Yeah.
You never know the person in front of you, whether that guy is an ideas person.
Yeah.
If you can tell that person is an ideas person, let's say Jeremy or someone who's very conversant, you are likely to pass through. There's no problem. I think all of us can attest to that. But if you meet up with a specialist or practitioner, your life is going to be absolutely miserable, because either they are not interested in what you say because they know that you are just so superficial that I can't be bothered with you. Like literally, I cannot be bothered with you. Or they will just keep asking you questions knowing that you cannot answer. So the misconceptions is one thing. I think to really help our audience tonight, it's not about understanding what the misconceptions are. It's about the so what. So if you are in this business and you are very frustrated because everyone has these misconceptions, then I think the thing is not to have your grouses over such misconceptions, but how then can you weave your thoughts and your counter objections into your initial pitch.
Yeah.
So people get it right up front instead of the Q&A or behind. Then during the discussion, you are talking about, so hey, Mr. Prospect,
Same pitch.
so what does it take? What does it take for you and me to progress from here? So you take the conversation further.
Yeah.
If your Q&A is about addressing misconceptions, I think 90% you're not going to get a deal. Seriously, you're not going to get a deal. So take your learning points and go. That's what I think.
I actually think Audrey brings up a very good point, because when we think about why are we so frustrated with those spammy sales code emails and messages we get all the time, because that's all they bullshit about. Like, anybody can tell me this is going to be a worthy combination, but what is my time frame? What am I expecting? What are you actually selling? Because one of my clients I work with right now, we actually handle
Jonathan, let's talk.
Yeah, media partnership, So honestly, when it comes down to building a partnership, whether you're the one offering that partnership or you're trying to get onto someone else's program, is you still need to have that sales mindset in the center, as in what metrics will I be looking at, for how long, and what kind of return should I be able to expect, even if it's not monetary return. But the ability to articulate that return on investment is actually very, very critical to anyone in the marketing field as well. It's not just a sales pitch thing.
Just one point.
Yeah.
Just one point on what you mentioned, Xiao. I think for marketing,
Mm-hmm.
while we are establishing a mutual clarity upfront, matrices is one way to do it. I will not spend too much time on it because
Mm-hmm.
by nature, marketing is not very quantitative to begin with. So if you go down that route, it's a slippery slope.
Okay.
And that slope is a slippery downward slope. You can't control it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would say the way that I usually approach it is a 50-50 of sorts, arbitrary, okay?
Okay.
So yes, you have your matrices, but also be very honest upfront that, hey, while we say that these are the matrices, sometimes we may get something outside of these matrices that is beneficial for us.
Mm-hmm.
So the original ones might not be the ones that really work for your business and the way we run our campaigns. Because marketing, one aspect of it can be experimental.
Mm-hmm.
You try, right? You experiment. So let's say you get into a webinar, you host a webinar. Your intent might be to get emails. Your intent might be to spread your brand awareness, right? But what if you don't get any email addresses, but in turn you get a lot of LinkedIn connections?
Mm-hmm.
It's not in your original matrices, but you score somewhere else, right? So during that experiment, you have done something right on something that was unexpected. So this to me has to be a conversation that is a continuous improvement. So whenever I speak to the vendors in my day job, or when I speak to, let's say, fellow freelancers, we are like, we just have to be very clear to our clients that continuous improvement and open-mindedness is very important. We might lose on the agreed metrics, but we may gain something else.
Mm.
Let's face it, even if you don't get emails, but you get a lot of LinkedIn connections with DM saying, I appreciate what you do. Contextualize, not written by bots. I appreciate what you do. And I've also run through your Medium profile. I've seen all your tweets. I appreciate the kind of ideas that you put out. Shall we have a discussion? I'm interested to advance this. Isn't this good as well? Even though it's not a pure and dirty lead, it is, right? So I think it's important not to be ring fenced by the matrices. That's how I think about it. I recently finished a physical exhibition. I think Kevin knows, Jeremy
Yep.
knows. I'm like, we assumed, or rather, the marketing arm assumed that just by doing demonstrations, we are going to have a lot of leads,
Business.
emails. But it's beyond that, right? Because when you're there, first, every attendee that comes to your booth, you cannot say no, regardless whether they are going to give you anything in exchange, right? So it's asymmetric. Then the next thing is, if you can see that they are interested, why do you still want to continue the demonstration? They are already interested. Analogy. If I walk into a restaurant knowing that I want to eat fish and chips, please do not show me the menu anymore. I'm telling you, I want the fish and chips. Why do you still want to pass me the menu and say, this is my today's
Upsell.
this is the seasonal, blah, blah.
Is that I'm sorry.
Get me this. We talk later, right? So it's important in that case not to measure by the total number of minutes of demonstrations, total demonstrations that is done, but hey, I can tell he's interested. Shall we get an appointment? What's your email? Send the email immediately. You score 2. You score 2. So marketing is experimental, marketing is creative, and marketing requires us to be very, I think the American saying is quick on our feet. You need to be very quick. So once you identify, you have to score, you have to take, and you have to go. That's how I think about it. Of course, that's the long-term play. Content is a long-term play. Okay, you're not going to like write a super content that allows you to earn 5,000 a month. I was like, I have enough of those stories. I know it doesn't work. It's like, I'll roll my eyes. I've spoken for too long. Please carry on.
No.
No,
I think
that's good because I think I like what you said, Eldrick. You said open-minded, but as a marketer, you also have to come in with an upfront agreement and educate, the people, right? Because I think, Xiao, you mentioned that a lot of times they come in where they try to overpower you or think that they know more knowledge, right? So I think in a way, through my experience, you almost have to put them back in their place.
Yes.
And I think as a marketer, it's okay to be very straightforward. Like I am throughout the years now, I am very blunt with my clients, because I think when you've done it enough, which accounts that come to you will succeed and which one will not.
Yeah.
And during the earlier in my career, I took them anyway because I needed to eat, but now I would say sometimes I pick and choose. It's a lot like dating.
Yeah.
Right? It's a mutual partnership. Marketing requires both parties.
Yeah.
It can't be just, the marketer or just the business owner. And so it requires like the perfect storm for it to work.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, it's as important for the marketer to identify, hey, should we take their money if we know they're going to fail?
Exactly. Because on the long run, that's not a business decision for yourself if you are taking on failing clients that they're going to fail, and it's not your fault.
Yep. Because a lot of times, especially in Jeremy's role, you mentioned most of the time you probably know your product, your marketing, right? The way the company's ran, right?
Yep. It's a lot of things, especially working with, if someone identify themselves as an enterprise, even if they're not a large corporation, enterprises do have a way of doing things for each organization within. And if that workflow is not going to work for how you work and how you foresee it to happen, it is going to be a toxic relationship, even if both of you might have the workflow working perfectly fine for yourself.
Yep. It goes back to the objectives of the marketing campaign, tactic, platform, whatever that is, because marketing serves different purposes. Although end of the day, what you're trying to do is to get commercial success for the organization you're marketing, but there are still many different ways to skin a cat, and you have different objectives. There could be marketing campaigns that are not out to measure anything except for impressions or engagements, or you just want to educate people or bring up awareness of your brand name, of your new product, etc., etc. How do you measure those? Yes, you can measure by number of people who have heard your name. You can do a survey, or have you seen this ad, and that kind of thing. But does that bring you commercial success? May not, right? So you, as an agency, right, for Xiao and Kevin, right, I think that you talk about that the customer is going to fail, right, because of what they think they're going to do with the money. But on your side, if the customer gives you the KPIs to measure your execution, you could meet them. You could meet them, but internally their goals could still fail.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Yep. So that's when you got to decide. I know I can meet these goals. Do I take the money knowing that I can meet these goals because it was set in a not a good way, or the customer doesn't know? I know I can meet this goal, and as an agency, I can sleep in peace because I know I made the money and I've done what you asked me to do. But at the back of your head, it's going to fail overall for the organization, and that's when you're going to decide. That's when you're going to decide whether you're going to take the money or not. I think that's the tough one to decide.
That's a very ethical question we always have to ask ourselves. Is meeting numbers is not difficult. Meeting numbers when your client came to you with the wrong set of numbers.
The wrong KPIs, right?
Yeah. Because they have this misconception that you cannot meet this number.
Exactly. And by crushing these misconceptions, education is going to happen regardless, but more so it's for us from a business standpoint to establish that respect between the client and the agency, because we have to, like Kevin was saying, we have to put you back in your place if we're going to build a working relationship that both parties could succeed.
Yep.
Yeah. That's right.
And it goes back to, you mentioned the second misconception, right? This is a good place to lean into that. Or when we talk about going viral, right? A viral post doesn't amount to anything commercial. It doesn't mean money in the bank. And I think a lot of people think, even, Eldrick can probably attest to this, a Medium post with a lot of readership doesn't make him millions of dollars. You know,
Maybe
so
that's
like
we
I
don't
think
know.
Just
you know,
maybe yes,
PM
millions.
does pay you though.
And
That's
that's
coming from
pre-tax.
experience.
yep.
Pre-tax.
So,
And
like-
bloody Americans have 30% withholding tax.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So like
So,
there's this
yeah.
misconception, like even a lot of people who go viral on a monthly basis, right, on social media does not mean they don't live at their parents' house or in an apartment, you know. They might be still struggling. So
Exactly.
like a lot of businesses see that and they want their campaign to go viral, and in return they think being virality means more money. You know, but the truth is, going viral, depending on where it goes viral, it might not even be your target audience, right?
Exactly.
It just create more eyes on your brand. Example, I mean, Wendy's went viral a lot, but they're still trying to catch McDonald's.
Yep.
You know.
And I always joke, like, if I want to taste that viral status, I should just live stream my rabbit hitting each other every single day.
Oh,
It's
I
true.
think that works for Instagram Live though. Instagram has become what was that terminology that I've heard recently? Like, influencers. Instagram has become like a zoo.
Yeah,
Animals go viral, and then it's like, I'm like,
I
okay.
think TikTok has been pretty zooey too.
Is it TikTok I watch? I think it's China. There's a Chinese influencer, and it's like little babies come out. Like,
What?
have you seen it? Like
Oh,
little
so
dog
I've not, but-
babies, little chicken
Oh.
babies.
What?
Like my kids watch it,
Oh my god.
So-
like giving
so-
birth, and they just come out like one after
So-
the other.
So TikTok has become National Geographic all of a sudden.
or National
Discovery.
Press page.
Discovery Channel.
Oh my god.
Ah,
And I mean, look at TikTok. I mean, TikTok was very easy to go viral, and I remember it went. There was a time, I would say maybe just 5-6 months ago, where everyone was talking about, oh, you should move all your social media to TikTok because TikTok gets better engagement. You go viral. I mean, how many of the influencers are TikTok
Yeah.
are truly making a living?
Exactly. Well, that sounded very familiar because when Clubhouse first came out, everyone was like, ditch LinkedIn and everything else. You should all just go to Clubhouse.
Yep.
didn't happen. Didn't happen.
Yep.
Yeah. I read there's like a saying in China where live streaming is big in China, right? And I think I read some influencers saying that there's a common saying in China that 94% of live streamers in China are not cutting it. 4% can make a living, just make a living, but
Just
it's
survive.
only the 1% is the only 1% that's making huge tons of money. And that gives you a very wrong sense of people chasing for money or for whatever it is. I should do live sales. Yeah, I'm going to be successful as so and so. But no, it just doesn't happen for the large majority. And you're talking about the 90+%, right?
Yeah.
If you take that as a gauge, I mean, how many people are really actually going to go viral? Number one, and number two, and even when you are viral, how many people are going to be able to enjoy commercial success after they are being viral? After they've gone viral, is another huge question mark. Whether you can capitalize on that is the challenge.
Which brings us back to what Kevin mentioned earlier is, you see everyone seems to be doing great on social media, but are they really doing great? That's the question to ask yourself.
Maybe we should do a social experiment. Let's start posting on social media and say that, oh, I'm very mediocre. This is the mediocre thing I did. Nobody does that, right? Nobody does that, right?
There was a period in time where I think Kevin picked it. Was it
trend?
Earlier this year? No, everyone was writing stories about their vulnerability, mental health. Fire my boss.
Oh my god.
It's don't start it. So things move in cycles, and when that picked out and everyone gets sick of it, positivity came back again, right? I can do this. I can do this. It's like,
what I'm proposing.
So what's going on right now, Eldrick? From your, what are you seeing right now on
the trend?
What cycle are we in?
What cycle
wave
are
shall we ride? What wave shall we ride?
No, now the algorithms favor images.
I
guarantee
just
you.
LinkedIn posts, guys. Don't
Test,
forget about that.
test it. I guarantee you.
It's
You
true.
write the same text.
Hey,
write the
there's
same
one
text.
thing that's consistent though. One thing.
What's
Food
that?
pics. Pictures of your food. I
Yeah.
thought about it on LinkedIn. I'm just gonna take pictures on my lunch every day because it doesn't take as much work for me. So I just post my lunch every day.
That's evergreen. That's evergreen. Food is evergreen. Yep.
It is. It is. But what I'm trying to
Audrey.
say is that try
please.
a pure text post, okay, and maybe in your second or third post, take that post exactly, copy and paste, but you insert an image, either a selfie or you're doing something or something relevant. to
A/B
the text.
testing. A/B testing.
Watch. Just watch. You know, people look at the image and give you a something, a comment. So it has become so it's still a very Instagram thing, you know, like if you show your face, people are like, oh, that's a real person. Give you I don't know.
Not a bot. Not a bot.
No, it's just so like okay, but I'm no longer that impressionable, to be honest.
Impressionable.
I'm
Since
not
when have
normal.
you been? Since when have you
exactly.
been?
No longer that impressionable. Yeah. You can test it. Just test it. It's like doesn't make sense.
Oh man. It's true though. I mean, you see the algorithm, and I see it on LinkedIn too, right? Used to it was the long form text content. Now you post that, you get maybe 4 or 5 thumbs up, and then you take a picture of, me eating or out and about, and it's like 40, people commenting, But social media goes through phases, and people. That's where marketers come in, right? Because we're able to identify the trends, be able to kind of know what's going on. And that's why business owners and a lot of times executives, if they're not in the trenches of the trends and aware of what's going on, it changes so fast. Like right now, if you're a company and you're jumping on TikTok, it's no different than jumping on Instagram.
Exactly.
Or anywhere else, because you've already lost that traction, right? So it goes through trends, and you have to just identify. And it goes back to what we said earlier. It depends on you as a brand, who you're marketing. Like if I was to market Eldrick, I probably would not put him on TikTok.
I'll be
It
the
will be a
anti-popular.
fail. There will not be any return.
It still can be
Investment.
monetized, right? Because you have an exact case study to show how exactly not to do it in 5 steps. You can still monetize it if you are practical enough. That's how I
Your
think about
TikTok, your TikTok for Audrey would be the TikTok video of Audrey sitting in front of the desk and the computer and writing the article. That will be the entire TikTok.
That's it.
Yeah, probably.
Who is that who brings
And you can turn it into an ASMR, or you can just hear like like
But the thing is this, right? The thing is this, right? You do not know what goes viral. It's just so unpredictable, right? I mean, the weirdest things go viral. Like I know I read before, like some guy put a video of him sleeping for 8 hours and people were just watching him sleeping. That goes viral. What? So it's so unpredictable. The point is, going viral is one thing, but whether it means a commercial success is another question. Yeah. Don't chase the numbers. Right.
Yep.
That's just my point. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I
And so,
can imagine
so-
when you
so-
ask for budget, it's always very difficult because of the way you think.
I no longer ask for budget. I ask for the budget to be fixed and not cut anymore. It's like, what, you're gonna cut another 10%? I'm gonna rebuild the plan again and see what takes out, and then it happens again and again. And just give me a number and stick with it. I no longer ask for budget. I just ask for it not to be cut multiple times, so that I don't have to build a plan multiple times. That's
So I think, Xiao, the third point you mentioned was like people misunderstand that if you can do marketing for 3-4 months instead of a long term, it's a long game, right?
Yeah.
Let's go into that a little bit, right? Okay, in order to hire someone to do marketing long game, it requires budget. It requires money, right? Just like Jeremy said, right? So if someone's struggling with their budget, what does that look like? What would you all recommend? So if an organization, even a bigger organization, if they're not allocating enough budget, right, to the marketing staff or team, what does that look like? What do you recommend?
I will. Can I just quickly comment on this because I need to drop off. My boss is looking for me. We need to connect before
He's
the
gonna
call.
cut 10 more percent.
If I don't show up, I'm gonna lose my job. I think usually is the budget is critical. But I think the point is that the amount of budget determines what you can do. But because of all the tools we have these days, and because of the great and wonderful internet, I think there can be a lot of things that are done that may not require that much money. I won't say it's free because it still needs your time and expertise, right? So if you don't have the money, you need to have that time and expertise, right? So for me, because it's more B2B, I sort of can get by without a big budget to do, say, physical trade shows, without big budget to do events. A lot of things have moved online, right? And I do think that webinars are a good way to connect and engage. But of course, it still depends on the way you do the webinar, because you could have a platform whereby it's just one way. It's just like a lecture. You just tell everyone and nobody can converse with you. Or you can have other things like Zoom whereby it's more interactive. And maybe you say it as a webinar, but it's more of a chat and you share what you have and have that engagement. So I think that's one way to get around that not enough budget thing. Thanks to the pandemic, we have found new ways and people are more accepting towards this kind of session, because it used to be that webinars, I don't want to see in front of the computer and that kind of thing. But I think that has shifted a lot, and it has in a way given me extra life to extra options to do things that I can't, like physical trade shows. So I mean, I saw Audrey's physical trade show. I'm like, oh, I'm so envious. When can I go back to a exhibition hall? And the last time I met anyone, a vendor, I was dishing out name cards because it's just been a while since I dish out name cards. I'm like, oh, do you have my card? Do you have my card? It's weird. It's weird what the pandemic does to you, yeah. So that will be my take on the budget question. And with that, I'm really sorry, guys. I have to drop now. So please continue, and I'll catch you guys again. Okay.
Good luck on your call,
Thank
Jeremy.
you for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, gotta go. Bye-bye.
I think Jeremy made a really good point, because there used to be this old saying in advertising world called $100 spent is better than $1 smart dollar. But that has completely changed, especially with SME marketing nowadays. Is budget is not everything. You just need to understand what can be expected from the budget you have and know how to properly spend it.
No, that's good. And I think it comes down to how you spend the budget, and it goes down to, like Jeremy said, if you don't have the budget, then you got to put in the work, right?
It's either money or time. Exactly.
Time.
Yeah.
Yep, it's either or, right? And there has to be a willing body to put in the work, so you have to look at both ways, right? Like I remember when I started my company, I didn't have much budget for marketing, and we're an agency, right?
Yeah.
So what I do, old-fashioned way, pick up the phone, call people,
knock
knock on doors, show up at events, network, meet people, right? And then over time, you built a brand, you have some budget, then you can start diving into, hey, marketing dollars on the internet or running ads or different things like that.
Yeah.
But that's on a 8-year span, It's not like you don't arrive within 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, right? And that's marketing in a nutshell. There's nothing out there. Only if you're handed a silver spoon, it doesn't matter if it's even marketing or sales. You got to invest time. It takes work. And I think most people today just don't want work,
that's kind of true. Yeah, I agree with that.
Like I had someone talking about...
Are you referring to the Great Resignation thing that's happening in the US?
Man, I think it's everywhere. I don't
It's
think
Is it real?
It's ridiculous. Yes, it is real, Audrey. And it's worse than what you hear online, actually.
Really?
Yep. It's
So
this
the
whole
next
mindset.
part of the cycle will be the great employment, isn't it? Better
I
get your
hope
medical
so.
chair
I
before
sure
you.
hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, you can sell NFTs.
Or you
But
can
if
do
everyone
that.
is doing it, your upside is going to be very low.
Yeah.
So there's got to be practical.
Yep.
And
I
when you think
that's-
about NFT comes straight back to marketing, right?
Right. So being an artist too, right, Xiao?
Yeah.
You're an artist. So let's dive into that a little bit.
Okay.
Have you done any art with an NFT yourself?
I'm planning on moving into the NFT space, hopefully mid next year. But that's also because I've done a lot of research and I know how to market it if I treat myself like a client. Let's just say that. But at the same time, that came with a lot of footwork, a lot of hard work, because on the art side, I do not have the marketing budget. So it comes down to me asking all my clients, media partner actually, who are very willing and supportive with my art aspect of my career. And I'm asking them for every single introduction I can get, every single featured exhibition I can sneak myself into. And that is the exact same mindset that's often lacking in the art world, because especially with someone who actually went to art school, I'm sympathetic that they don't just graduate with a master's in fine art and automatically make money just painting or doing whatever art they do. But that is the mindset that's being trained, and it is such a toxic education that made a lot of artists incapable of learning to market themselves. They're either too prideful to do that or too scared or both. Yeah.
That's a good observation. Yeah, that's interesting. So do you feel so what have you learned while you're researching NFTs for artists?
NFT art functions of way more like business compared to your traditional art. It's got a huge aspect of digital marketing. It's got a huge aspect of networking and outbound sales.
That's
So,
interesting. You said outbound sales. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
outbound because of the recurring commission that you can keep going. So as the NFT exchanges hands, so you can preset it. You can preset your NFT recommission percentage. Let's say 10%, right?
Yep.
So when your NFT changes hands, as it leaves you and it exchanges hands between the second or third buyer, regardless of the price, 10% of that commission goes to you as the creator. So as each time the NFT exchanges hands, your cash till rings. It's a different model. So what Xiao says is true in that way. It is very business. It is a package of sales and marketing. It is.
That's good.
And this is the horrible reality: is at least 80% of the artists in the NFT scene right now have no idea what a recommission is.
I mean, they have to choose a platform that makes it
Exactly.
conveyancing transparent. So I think the research they are doing, you're pretty much on point.
Yep.
That's good to know. Yeah, I've been kind of reading up on it myself, so it's pretty interesting.
You're gonna sell digital art, Kevin?
No, I'm not good enough. I'm not an artist.
But this is the funny thing, because one of my clients, they make lightsabers. They make competition grade sparring lightsabers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, fascinating. Look them up, Twin Star Sabers. It's a really cool company. But one of the reasons they have me on consulting is because they actually want to get into NFT as a business, because they want to monetize tokenization. So you can sell game icon packs, things like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aldrich, have you started dabbling in NFTs?
I have experiment, but I don't bank my life on it.
You
I
don't bang
won't.
your life?
No, because it's always the case, regardless of what we do, and regardless whether we like it or not. Let's face it, everything is a hierarchy.
Yes.
By the way, it has nothing to do with the political left or right. Okay, I'm just saying law of nature, law of nature. If you hear someone on Medium earning a couple of dollars less than 30,000 a month,
Yep.
That's like the top 1% of the 1%, because the top 6% earners sounds good, right? The top 6% earners are writing on Medium.
Yep.
So long as you cross $100 a month pre-tax, you're top 6%.
Yep.
So people are like, oh, I'm gonna write here because I can earn 30,000 a month. Dude, you why don't you try first? Get your hands dirty, get into the ring, and
Exactly.
see if you can wrestle with the bull before you say such things. And before I can even see anything happening,
Yeah.
where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Are you gone? So
Yeah, and so how many people realize like writing and publishing on Medium is only step one? You can't 100% just rely on their algorithm. You want that $100, you got to keep pushing your article out yourself.
yeah, and it will be the same for NFTs for sure, because
Exactly.
now that people know, some like Jack Dorsey sold his first tweet as an NFT for how much? 6 million. People are gonna jump like, oh, I'm gonna do that. I'm going to like tokenize my let's say J29 creative group, that logo.
Yep.
Why don't you try to sell that? Can you hit
Exactly.
$6? Impress me. Seriously, impress me, because I take a look at some very simple numbers. I try to understand the hierarchical nature of things. I'm like, they're not there yet. So let's not talk about such things. And so no, as an experiment, yes, not banging my life on it. More so for me to understand what's going on in Web 3.0 and Ethereum and
Yep.
intrinsic digital assets. So what really caught my attention was the recommissioning, and I thought that was actually a very smart thing to do, because that has always been the issue for digital assets, right?
Content.
Like,
Yes.
it's mine. I created it, but why is it that I'm only benefiting from the first time sale? So it sort of, the improvements came in with recommissioning, and I was like, that's what we need. That's correct. So I started studying the various ways of the models for myself, of course, for my own ventures and for my own projects. But I'm not banging on it because I know I don't have the time to really be good enough in it. So just being very practical about it.
Yeah.
No, and it comes back before we end tonight, right? It comes back to time, right? So all this stuff takes time, right? And marketing as a whole takes time.
Yes.
Marketing, there's never been really any overnight marketing success. Even the ones you hear, they've been doing it for a long time. It's just you hear it because they've already arrived.
Exactly.
So you have to remember, as an organization, especially as an SME, you have to put in the work. Either yourself or your team, or an agency, or someone has to put in the work. And when you hire an agency, I think this is a huge mistake too, is you have to pay those people in order to put in the work.
Exactly.
So if you aren't paying them enough to retain them, then maybe you have to put in some of the work, and then the agency can work with you and delegate and see, hey, what part do you want and what part can we consult you on? But you do the work, right? I have the expertise, but you got to do it, And so there's always that struggle, like who's going to do the work? And you can't expect, when you're an SME, to be hands off 100%, because in the world today or yesterday, remember, no one works for free.
No. Especially when so many people are quitting. Count your blessings, people are not insanely raising their prices right now.
Yep. No one works for free. So if you expect something for free, then man, you're doing
I sense that you have
wrong.
been getting many such requests, Kevin. My concluding point for tonight, I just want to pick on what Xiao mentioned just now on the marketing budget. Okay. Such objections are usually very common, regardless of what you sell. Let's face it, it's a sales objection.
Yes.
Contextual to marketing, I think paint a bigger picture so that you can have a buy-in, but it's not about clarity. It's, instead of marketing, think sales. It's always easier to get your prospect to invest in a more resilient sales process
Yes.
than to, oh, you need to buy marketing. So one way that it came to me is that you want to develop your marketing prowess, whether it's physical or digital, such that these marketing assets can do the follow-up on your behalf. Because the industry statistics is it takes 5 follow-ups to get a freaking sale.
Exactly.
And 94% of the salespeople will give up by the 3rd try.
Yes.
Why? Human nature, we hate it. First, we hate to be rejected. Second, it sucks, right? Hi. So instead of you doing it, now think about it. If you don't move, then you need to have assets that move on your behalf. So
Yep.
when you do your follow-up emails, whether passive or active, let's say email follow-ups, how then can you utilize your marketing assets to do the follow-up for you? If you have properly qualified your client, you know what their pain points are, send them the marketing assets of your company that directly addresses their pain point. Let your content do the follow-up for you instead of you doing the follow-up for you. Now, if you paint that bigger picture, you well in your marketing prowess into your entire sales process, people listen. Because then people be thinking, it's a value creation and it's on the revenue side of things now. Okay, it's a different perspective. Let's see. Because it's true, and the issue of follow-up has always been a perennial issue, and that
Yes.
a lot of people will simply drop out. And let's say, if all of us, if we do our side hustles, if we do our projects, we hate to do follow-up because 1, you never know what's going to happen. 2, God knows what other objections is going to throw in your way, and you're so frustrated you don't end the day well. So I would say that marketing it would be good for that perspective. That's my thoughts.
So before we end tonight, Xiao, what's the best way to follow you, and what's, from your experience, what's a golden nugget that you can give to our audience?
Well, to follow me, all things, actually everything in business and art is on my LinkedIn. Art only is on my Instagram at Xiao Chinese Art, but LinkedIn is definitely my most active platform. So anyone who wants to connect with me, feel free to just send me a request here. Do not pitch me.
How do I find you again on LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn.
No, how do I find you on LinkedIn?
My full name is Xiao Faria da Cunha, so you can probably see me under the live tonight.
Got it.
Yep.
Got it.
Got it. So I'll keep an eye open for that connection request. Golden nugget, it really is like what Audrey said at the very beginning. Understand what you want to accomplish, because without having a clearance around that, there is no marketing or planning or strategy or whatsoever, and you will end up just wasting your money because you can't even have your mind fixed on what you really want to do.
That's good. Identifying where you're going.
Yeah.
So you can't have a journey if you don't know where the end point is.
Exactly.
You can still have a journey.
Yeah.
But it will be an
You just will
experimental
never
one.
arrive at a destination, right?
Because there's no destination.
Yep. So.
And don't get me wrong about when I say that. I think that is still respectable. Because if you don't, if you don't know where you want to go in life, first thing, move. Because as you move, you find out more.
You'll
And then you'll be like, oh, geez, actually I can do that. Oh, wow, this interests me. So you refine. So I do think that there are times when there are no destinations, it can be better. But when you're in the exploratory mode, okay, not when there's something that you have to do and then there's already a destination, but you're going in circles and you're not meeting it. Okay, that's a different
when you're running a business, visualize some sort of accomplishment so you can figure out the rest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you for joining our show tonight, and it was good to catch up. So
it was so good. Hopefully we get to hang out when I come visit. I'm gonna be back the weekend 16th through the 19th. So let's try to get together.
16th to the 19th. Sounds good. Yeah, let me know for sure.
I will.
All right. I'll talk to you later, Eldrick. And thank you everyone for joining our show. Next week, we'll see ya.
Yay. Bottoms up.
Bottoms up. We need our drinks.